morning, South Avenue. Well, it is Thursday. It's also May 21st, 2020.
What's for lunch? What's for lunch? Anybody know? What's for lunch?
10 to 10:45. The weather. The weather is looking again lovely. Actually, I could use a little rain in that garden. But today it's going to be up to 72, sunny, little bit warmer than yesterday, looking quite beautiful.
It's your birthday today. It's your birthday today. There's a cat licking your birthday cake. It's your birthday today.
Today's birthday is Samaya Stafford. Happy birthday, Samaya. Congratulations on completing another trip around the sun.
Woohoo! Woohoo! Woohoo!
Okay, where in Beacon and trivia? First, the picture from yesterday. This picture, where in Beacon was this picture taken? That clock is on Main Street, down near the dummy light, sort of where Main Street turns or curves around that corner there. That's where that clock is. So we'll call it the corner on Main Street near the dummy light. All right, today, where in Beacon was this picture taken? A little tricky. And trivia. Yesterday's trivia question was, what are the boy bees in a hive called? What are the boy bees called? They are called drones. That's right, they are drone bees. All right, so today's question is inspired by some history that I'm reading. I'm reading a book about Dennings Point and the history of Dennings Point. It's really interesting. George Washington, right, the first president of the United States, used to have a headquarters across the river, and there were troops that would be held, that were like stationed around Beacon, and he would go down to the river, take a boat across the river, land at Dennings Point sometimes, and then take his horse and check out the troops, called review the troops. He'd look them over. So in honor of this history is really cool, by the way. In honor of that, let's say if I was to leave Beacon and go directly across the river, what is the name of that town, that city? Directly across the river from Beacon, what is the name of that city? I'm going to do a little bee stuff, but I wanted to talk to you first a little bit about being afraid. So being afraid. Sometimes being afraid is kind of fun, like when you're on a roller coaster or something. There's times when that little bit of fear makes it a little exciting. But sometimes there are fears that just aren't that much fun. So for instance, I used to be more afraid of bugs, right? I would have a fear of bugs. And when I was in college, I went to Zimbabwe for 3.5 months. And in Zimbabwe, they had some pretty spectacular bugs. And, they used to bother me. I used to have dreams and nightmares about them. It wasn't fun to be afraid of bugs. So I decided that I wanted to try to be less afraid of bugs. So over the years, I've done things like, watched documentaries about bugs. We bought a tarantula that I would hold sometimes, and I got bees. And all these things have helped me to become a little less freaked out about bugs. If a bug flies in the car and gets on me, I'll still be like, ah! Right? I'll still freak out a little bit. But I've definitely gotten less scared of bugs by trying to work on my fear, because I didn't like being afraid. Why am I talking about this? Oh, yeah. So sometimes people just have fears that they're not necessarily going to get over. And one of those, and sometimes people have fears that just don't make tons of sense. And one of those fears is a fear of holes. So trypophobia, I think I'm saying it right, is a fear of holes. So things that have holes in them, like certain plants or different, things where they, like honeycomb, make people afraid. That it creeps them out. They don't like looking at it. So of course, in this video, we're going to try and look into the honeycomb to find the babies. And so there's two potential things here that people could not like. One is baby bees are not that pretty. They're little larvae, right? And that can be kind of gross. They're not that cute. I'm a little less freaked out about them. I still kind of, it's a little bit, but they are baby bees, so they're going to grow up to be my little friendly bees. Although they got a little less friendly yesterday. I got a couple of stings. But that's aside. So if you don't like grubs or little hairless squirmy things, see you tomorrow. But if you want to see the little grubs, feel free to tune in. Also, if you have trypophobia, fear of holes, you might want to watch either, because we're going to look inside the honeycomb. Anyway, coming up next, I go out to the honey hive. Coming up next, I go out to the hives, and I do a little checking. Two of those hives are not doing well. I'm not sure what the problem is. One of them looks like it's got a queen that is like sick or something, and the other one, I don't know, the queen doesn't seem to be there at all because there's no brood. So I did some switching around of some frames, and we'll see what happened. One of the hives is doing really well, though. So anyway, if you are afraid of bugs or larvae, then I will see you tomorrow, and I hope you have a great day. Hey there, South Avenue. Okay, so it's time to check on the bees, and today I thought, yesterday I showed you some close-ups with the microscope, and today I'm super excited because we're going to try and use the microscope to see the brood. So I'm going to take out a frame where we have the babies, right? The queen has laid eggs, and they're starting to grow, and I want to use the microscope to see in there and see our little bee babies. Doesn't bee baby sound cute? I don't think it's going to be very cute. They're like little larvae, they're not particularly cute, but they're still bee babies. So this hive here looks like it's not doing very well. There's not a lot of activity. So we're going to see if there's anything going on in there, and if it's really not doing well, what you can do is you can take a frame of brood from a hive that's doing well and put it in there. And then when the bees come out, they'll, contribute to that hive. So we may do that today too. But what I really want to do is get a close-up of those bee babies, okay? I did bring my my bee suit today because now that they're a little more established and there's more of them, they might not be as happy to see me, so I'll wear protection. So yeah, that hive does not look good. There's very few bees in there, and I don't know if it's worth trying to put more bees into it, but I might do one frame and just give it a shot. Okay, so we're gonna go into this one over here, which is the one that's doing the best, and then we're gonna try and get a close-up of those babies. Okay, so we got lots of bees, and in here you can see, maybe you can't see, but there's some nectar that they've put in there, and there's some bee bread, some pollen. Okay, so to show you what we're looking at here, this is all brood. That's called capped brood. So that means the babies have grown up enough where they cover them up so they can metamorphosize into a bee. But over here in these surrounding ones, there's little babies that are not capped yet. They're still getting fed. Oh my gosh, and there's the queen. She's right there. Holy cow, we found her. The only reason is she's marked. So I don't want to lose her, but she's right there. There's the queen. How cool is that? So that did not work out the way I was hoping. So 2 of the hives seem like they're in trouble. I don't see any brood in the one on the end, which is surprising because that I thought was doing pretty well. So that could mean that there's no queen in there either. So I took some brood out of the one that's doing well and put them in the other 2, and we'll see what happens. I'll keep you updated. Oh, speaking of Zimbabwe, today's Google Doodle, right? When you go to Google and they have the Google sign and sometimes they do fun stuff with it. Today's Google Doodle is about the mbira, which is a traditional instrument in Zimbabwe. So you can play a game and play songs on the mbira, and it's really cool. So if you go to Google, check out the Google Doodle about the mbira, which is a traditional musical instrument from Zimbabwe. Have a great day, South Avenue.